Something crazy is happening in Los Angeles right now when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, because there are a ton of allegations, a ton of rumors being thrown around about him potentially even being moved before the start of the season. A lot of stuff due to money and issues over contracts, sitting out games. What is happening in Los Angeles right now? And how seriously does it affect their title chances? But seriously, what is happening in Los Angeles right now? There are allegations all over the place regarding their superstar Kawhi Leonard, who will be 34 years old next year, and he is washed by no means whatsoever. He's coming off a season averaging about 22 a game with 6 rebounds in just 32 minutes while shooting 50% from the field and 41% from 3 on 6.3 attempts per game. However, the knock on him, as it always has been, was his injuries. He only played 37 games this year. Now, he was healthy for the playoffs for the first time in a while, but everything coming out now is insane. Like, just take a second to read this right here. Maybe he hasn't always been injured. Maybe he's just been wanting money, wanting extra money. And now there are even reports coming out of Los Angeles that the team is looking to move on from Kawhi Leonard. What is happening? That is significantly throwing a wrench in their plans when it comes to competing for an NBA championship this year, because Kawhi, who at 6'8" with a 7'3" wingspan, genetic freak, and is still a phenomenal two-way player and can be that number one guy on a championship team along with James Harden, could be gone. Now, I love the additions they made. If they do keep Kawhi, John Collins, perfect addition. I mean, he's going to be 28 years old, and I mean, he went to Utah and came back a different player, averaging 19 and 8 last year with 2 steals and a block with an assist, shot 53% from the field and 40% from 3 on 4 attempts per game. In Atlanta, he could not shoot the 3 ball, but in Utah, something happened. Something's in the water out there, I guess, because both he and Colin Sexton turned into knockdown three-point shooters, even though he loves to have his foot on the line and shoot the worst shot in basketball now, which is an extra long 2. But I mean, he's doing stuff like this, ripping through, spinning, and then knocking down tough fadeaways, driving baseline, spin off over Jaylen Brown, who's not a bad defender whatsoever. And then, like right here, a dime to Sexton for the easy layup. I'm really excited about this John Collins edition. I mean, clamps right there against Jaylen Brown. He tried to go left, though. We should have known. 6'9" with a 6'11" wingspan. And, I mean, yeah, once again, the clamps right here, like we talked about, he's a long, rangy defender. He can guard on the perimeter. He can bring the ball up, and then he can do stuff like this because he's still a really good athlete. People forget how athletic he was coming out of college. Then they bring in Bradley Beal, and do not get it twisted. Bradley Beal is not a bad basketball player. He's just bad for what the Suns were expecting out of him. He'll be 32 years old next year, coming off a year averaging 17 points a game, 3.7 assists, 3.3 rebounds, 1.1 steals in 32 minutes a game while shooting 50% from the field and 39% from 3. That is not bad whatsoever from a statistical standpoint. And really, when he was playing behind D-Book and KD, that Suns team was set up. It was never going to work out. And that became very apparent very quickly. When you look at the 2024-2025 season, where he was making $50 million and only averaging 17 points a game, all right, I can understand the expectations. But now, in the 2025-2026 season, he's making $6.5 million. So they're going to get a bargain for a guy in Bradley Beal that's going to come in and either start for them or play off their bench. Maybe he starts alongside James Harden. Maybe they start Chris Dunn for defense alongside of James Harden. Either way, Bradley Beal is going to have an impact here in Los Angeles, and he's going to be very good at what he does in that. I mean, he could come off the bench with like Chris Paul, Bogdanovich, Derrick Jones Jr., and Brook Lopez. Yes, it's the unction, but they've got a lot of talent here in Los Angeles if only it stays healthy, and that is a massive if, by the way. I understand what I'm saying here. Now, the next signing that we're going to talk about doesn't really help with their old age, as they bring back Chris Paul for one last dance at the age of 41. I mean, this guy, we're talking about a guy averaging 9 a game last year with 7.5 assists, 3.6 rebounds, 1.3 steals in 28 minutes. Shot 43% from the field, 38% from 3 on 4.5 attempts per game. And, I mean, he's a guy that just makes you better as a team. It doesn't matter how old he is. Like right here, he's going to get into the middle of the defense, attract 3 sets of eyes, see the screen set by Champagny, throw the flare to Jeremy Sohan, and Sohan knocks down a three. And then picking and popping with Victor Wembanyama. Now, obviously, he's not going to be playing with Wemby this year, but there are guys like Brook Lopez who have similar skill sets when it comes to the pick and pop. Now, not overall do they have similar skill sets, just in the pick and pop game where they can both do that. He's also going to have Yannick Niederhausen from time to time to throw lobs to, depending on how much action he gets this year. And then he can still knock down the three ball a little bit, but where he's at his best is working out of the pick and roll, getting to his spot right here, knocking down the easy fadeaway jumper, and then out in transition, finding Champagnie 1-2 to the rim for the layup. Now, as for the guys that were on the team last year, they have James Harden coming back, who is getting older as well. I mean, he's going to be 36, so it's not like he's young by any means, but he averaged 23 a game last year with 8.7 assists, 5.8 rebounds, 1.5 steals in 36 minutes, shot 41% from the field, 35% from three on 8.5 attempts per game, and remember, last year he was 10th in MVP voting. By the way, kind of an underrated season for him, but his ISO ability is definitely still there. He's good out of the pick and roll, don't get me wrong, like right here, where there was kind of a ghost screen set, and then he just gets right to the rim. Then working with Zubats, finds Zubats as Gary Trent Jr. tags him and then rotates back. Zubats is wide open under the rim, but like I said, his ISO scoring is still at a peak. He is still one of those guys that you could not guard in a phone booth, like right there, especially when he's in his bag. Now, yes, he shot 41% from the field, 35% from three. Not the best efficiency, especially not for a guy like James Harden, who's taking tons of attempts per game on very high volume. But this big three right here should be good next year, again, assuming they have the big three still assembled by the time next season comes around. Then we get to Ivica Zubats, who just had the best year of his career at 28 years old, averaged 17 and almost 13 with 2.6 assists per game, 1.1 blocks in 33 minutes, shot 63% from the field on 80 games played. And overall, Zubats is just a monster, right? Rolling right to the rim for the easy dunk. He and Harden had the pick and roll game going, and now you can see the same thing with Chris Paul because, of course, Zubats plays in shifts, right? He'll play the first 10 minutes of the game, and then he'll sit the next 10, and then come in for the last 4 minutes of the half. But at 240 pounds with a 7'4" wingspan, he deserves some time off because he is a big dude down in the paint. He even offers a little bit of rim protection as well, as you can see right there. And then again, working out of the pick and roll right here, he's elite alongside of James Harden. Now, James Harden is the guy that makes that go, but shout out to Zubats for being the finishing pieces to that. Now, they have Brook Lopez, who they bring in on a 2-year, $11 million deal. Like I said, he's a guy that can pick it and pop it, kind of like we saw with Wemby and CP3 in San Antonio last year. Averaged 13 and 5 with 2 assists and 2 blocks in 32 minutes a game. Shot 51% from the field, 37% from three on just under 5 attempts, but he did get played off the court in the playoffs, and that is a huge issue. But luckily for the Clippers, he's only going to be playing backup big minutes, so they're not going to need to lean on him for a ton of minutes, just those spot minutes when Zubats comes out, maybe like 7 minutes at a time, because he's going to be getting up there in age. And maybe we see the Clippers rework their rotations this year, but this is what the bench could look like depending on where they play Brad Beal. It could be CP3, Chris Dunn, Bogdanovich, Derrick Jones Jr., and Brook Lopez, or we could see a guy like Bradley Beal at the 2, or we could see a guy like Bradley Beal starting alongside of Harden, Kawhi, if they keep him, John Collins, and Zubats. And then, of course, we talked about it earlier, Yannick Niederhausen, who I think is the most fun name to say in the league, just got drafted. I thought he was taken a little early, but the Clippers get their young big. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button if you did enjoy at any point. And with that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.